Hello everyone, welcome to Global Government News. Today is Saturday. For me, actually, it's just turning Sunday, but either way, it's still Saturday, November 12th, 2011. I'm Darko. This is part 4. It should be the final part for this news bulletin for today. Thank you for joining me, everybody. It's been a long day for me as far as recording. Having to re-upload, re-record things for the third part. So go in there and check out that third part. Like I mentioned in the last one, if you didn't see it, or if you're just joining me now, a very important video because it involved robots basically taking over the role of human beings and the extinction of human beings, essentially. So it's important that you go in there and check that out because this is a theme that keeps going, and I keep finding a lot of problems with uploading videos that have to do with robotics and cyborgs and the elimination of the human race. So I will keep talking about it and keep talking about it and keep talking about it whenever I come across it. I won't be able to actually show and restream the videos, but I would hope that you could take just a minute's worth of effort, work, and time to just go down there in a little, down here, well, it would be in my video, and look at the little headlines and links, and you can look at the videos yourself, and then you can go in and start where I pick up where I left off. And so we're not going to watch this video because I don't feel like having a war with the all-seeing eye, CBS, BBC, Viacom. I just don't want to mess with them anymore. So I would hope that you go in there and check that out. But what I will do is I will talk about Israel, and I will talk about basically, you can call it psyops, you can call it implanted stories, but either way, it says Al-Jazeera serves Israeli interests. Activists in the Persian Gulf nation of Qatar have accused the Doha-based Al-Jazeera news channel of serving Israeli interests in the region, posting photos showing Emir of Qatar and these other individuals and his prime minister shaking hands with Israeli officials. Activists also criticized the government for its close ties with Tel Aviv. It widely believed that the Emir of Qatar has direct influence on the nature of programs broadcasted by Al Jazeera. The news network has been repeatedly accused of uneven coverage of the events in the, quote, Arab Spring, which was basically the world intelligence community, which includes the CIA, of course, and Mossad, and MI6 and all those groups, basically they're all just one big group. They're not actually, we don't have separate countries or separate companies anymore. There's just one big company. And says here, Al Jazeera, and basically what I was saying was that's what it was. An Arab Spring was provocateur. We all know that. Al Jazeera is accused of blowing the opposition movement in Syria out of proportion while turning a blind eye to the Bahraini government's violent crackdown on peaceful anti-government protests. Says here that a number of well-known journalists, including Qassem Ben Hedo, have resigned from the TV in the past months over the channel's coverage of the Middle East events. So yeah, you can go there and check that out. The other one was this is how Israel runs the British press. I covered this before briefly, but it says the following is a glimpse into the Israeli Hezbollah's Mossad's operation in the UK. It explains how Israel and its agents managed to dominate news coverage in Britain and beyond. It seems from the following leaked email as if BICOM, British Israeli Communication and Research Center, runs the news desk for the BBC, Sky, and FT. I'm not sure if that's Financial Times or what. I guess that last week The Guardian also joined the party. It is now an official Israeli propaganda outlet. Shockingly enough, not a single British paper was brave enough to report the story or publish the leaked email. Surely they know who their masters are. The message is pretty clear. British press is not trustworthy. It's as Zionized as our political system. Israel lobby groups feed UK media. A leaked internal email, which is what we were just talking about, has revealed how a UK-based pro-Israeli lobbying group has been feeding British mainstream media, the BBC, Sky News, and the Financial Times. So it was the Financial Times, and it was mistakenly sent to members of the press by the current CEO of elitist pro-Israeli lobbying firm British Israeli Communications and Research Center. Exposed how the BBC and Sky News editors changed their narrative on stories in favor of the Zionist regime after a meeting by BICOM representatives. Next up, we have 2 killed in Libya armed clashes. That's right, there are still clashes going on. At least two people have been killed in clashes between forces of Libya's National Transitional Council and armed groups outside the capital of Tripoli. So it says here the fighting kicked off overnight on Friday at a makeshift road checkpoint. And just think, in the United States, when the checkpoints come here throughout the corporation, you could be rest assured that those things are going to be attacked. I'm not calling for it. I'm just saying that when people who were once sovereign are no longer, and they're taken over by basically sellouts within themselves, within their own corporation, their own country, they tend not to like it, especially when they set up these road checkpoints to hinder their travel. And so it goes on here. It says clashes erupted after members of the Wursha Fauna tribes set up their own roadblocks in the area, confiscated weapons of the Zawiya fighters, and smashed the cars. It goes on here, and it says that it was all over what? All they did was accuse these people, this group, this tribe, of being loyal to Gaddafi, who's supposedly dead. Then we have NATO fears Libya war crimes investigation by World Court, and they will fear it. I'll let you know. They will fear an investigation because NATO was actually behind beheadings of Libyan people. They were actually appointing or telling the rebel terrorists basically to do these things, and of course they were going to blame what? The Libyan people. So yeah, NATO is in fear. There was actually a NATO soldier, if you see in that picture, in that video of Gaddafi when he was captured and that all bloody, you could actually see a NATO soldier in the back, kind of you can see just standing there surrounded by a bunch of tribal men. Sorry. And so poll says war with Iran, not so fast. Only 2 in 10 Americans, 20%, would go to war with Iran if they either tested a bomb or attacked Israel. A quarter would go if they were attacked U.S. soil. And it goes down here, and you can actually see that that actually almost the majority of people said nothing. But yeah, pretty crazy there. And yet they're going to keep moving forward, the government, that is. And we have here Americans like Netanyahu better than Obama. U.S. President Harrison Boudreaux or Bear Satoro accidentally let it be known last week that he doesn't think much of Israel leader Benjamin Netanyahu, but that's okay because Obama's own countrymen actually prefer Netanyahu over their own president. And I remember this thing about they didn't know the mic was on, calling him a liar and stuff like that. I'm just going on a limb here, but they were actually probably calling him a liar because he probably said that he would have already attacked Iran, Persia, in the Middle East already, and he didn't. So maybe he's not living up to what Obama and Sarkozy. Because I mean, come on, dude, Sarkozy's he was over there in Ivory Coast. They were bombing people, and they had mass graves there. Then they were leading the charge, Vive la France again in Libya with the no-fly zone. They were the first ones there, bombing, killing civilians. And of course we had mass graves. I don't think, even though Obama has a Nobel Peace Prize, he's actually had more people die under his regime in Afghanistan than Bush. And he's also expanded the wars into other theaters, including the Somali Holocaust, that's not even being covered at all in the Western media. So that's what I think the lie was, is that he's lying. He said he was going to fucking attack Iran a long time ago, and now he's not. What's the matter with him? So I doubt that Americans like Netanyahu better than Obama. But like we covered in the beginning, right? It's Israeli-controlled media, so that's the bullshit that you're going to get. Hezbollah chief, Israeli-U.S. strike on Iran will lead to regional war, and most people in Israel are, probably good people. It just sucks that they're just like every other country, that they're being headed up by what? By sellouts. I don't want to call them Ashkenazi Jews, Luciferians, the pharaohs, the powers that be, the Illuminati, the cap of the pyramid. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about to most of the Israeli people. And so Israeli-U.S. strike on Iran will lead to regional war. We've heard that. And also Ahmadinejad, he said that he'll bring what? He said that he'll bring street warfare to Tel Aviv if they attack him. Says Iran explosion at Revolutionary Guards military base. 17 soldiers have been killed in an explosion at a military base near Iran's capital, Tehran. I know most of you guys have probably already heard this. The question is this an accident? Now, Iran, of course, is not going to admit if they were attacked. That's just not good for public support in their country. But it is a possibility that they were actually attacked. Now, I don't know if you know, but it is known that the U.S. has assassinated Iranian officers and diplomats before. So they're very, very sneaky, and they could have done something like that. It was an ammunition dump. It says here, U.S. demands Iran respond in days to nuclear report. So the leader of the death cult, state Hillary Clinton, says, get rid of that. I'm trying to, goddamn you. And it says, demand on Friday that Iran responds within days to UN nuclear watchdog's accusations of atomic weapons work. It's like Washington was consulting allies on further steps to pressure Iran, talking about sanctions. Next up, U.S. terror drone kills 146 civilians in 2 days. 79 more people have been killed, and a U.S. assassination drone attack in southern Somalia bringing the death toll to 146 over the past 2 days. Friend said I need to start keeping a tally of this, and if I have the time, next week I'll go and backtrack and I'll start keeping a daily tally of the amount of people that are being slaughtered in Somalia right now. And basically they declared a no-fly zone. It's a humanitarian mission, and they're killing humans, innocent humans. 2 U.S. terror drones crashed in Somalia. So it says here that the drones have crashed separately in southern Somalia, i.e. they were shot down or brought down via computer software. French helicopter crashes in Somalia, so a helicopter went down as well. U.S. Predator drones arrive in Turkey, so expect a humanitarian mission and no-fly zone in Turkey and the killing of humans in the near future. Most likely Turkey's going to use it against that little separatist group. I can't recall if it's the Kurds or not, but U.S. to sell UAE, the United Arab Emirates, 1,000 pounds of bunker busters, or 1,000 pounders. And then we have this secret desert force set up by Blackwater's founder. And when you go in there, it says that they're actually setting up a little strike force, a little special forces headed up by Blackwater and UAE. Sudan, full-scale war looms as bombs civilians in South Sudan, so it's getting pretty bad there. Also, Zimbabwe rearming security forces. The Zimbabwe Defense Force has taken delivery via an African intermediary, I wonder who that is, of the first of the consignments of Chinese small arms and equipment. So the Chinese are arming them. Then reports of U.S. military to help fight Nigerian terrorists. Now, this is, of course, what? This is China. This is the East versus the West. They're all the same, but they're basically scrabbling over what? Africa. That's what it's all about. Who's going to dominate Africa and their resources? And part of those resources are the people, human resources. They're slaves. That's why they call it human resources here. It says President Harrison Bordeaux, Barry Soetoro to set up U.S. military base in Darwin. And then we have military killer in Afghanistan who killed civilians. Sport killing, says he was bored. Islamist militant kills 7 in attack in Kazakhstan. Then next up, that's Central Asia, so keep an eye on it. Syria suspended from Arab League. Next up, British troops to withdraw from Germany. It only took them how many years? 60. Next up, we have London demonstration. Police wanted violence. See, that's freedom and democracy right there, guys. Look at that. Cops all around them. They said the police were held to be keen to provoke violence in the very beginning as they threatened the demonstrators with the use of rubber bullets and handed intimidation letters directly to activists and also to people near the route on the rally before it began. Minister says public sector workers can strike for 15 minutes. See, that's freedom and democracy for you. I told you. War veterans show solidarity with Occupy Wall Street protesters. Just be careful of those pesky rubber bullets flying through the air. Here on CNBC, Ron Paul wins the poll. So what do? They took it down. You like that? Israeli run media. China's state broadcasters to open U.S. studios, says reports. So they're going to have their own propaganda machine here in D.C., which is D.C. is their own little government. It's a separate government from the other corporation, the U.S. 3 Chinese AWOL soldiers shot dead. They're not saying why. European super X-ray to study Earth's core. And that's kind of funny because there's some people that think that the Earth is actually hollow in the center. Much like the moon, Taiwan bars smokers from top schools. Australian outlaw Ned Kelly's body finally returned after 130 years. Sounds familiar, right? Like Geronimo, where the Skull and Bones has his bones still. Why? Because they resist. They want to study the resistors. This is GGN. God